Hello, my name is Todd Bracher, and I am an industrial designer and creative director based out of Brooklyn, New York. I'm the first American to do a project here for Das Haus, and they asked me, of course, to consider living as an American and to interpret that somehow here in Cologne. And for me, that's a difficult task because I don't really know what it is to be American, to be honest with you. And I think that's partially being American is this difficulty understanding that. And so, but this house is a direct result to a sort of questioning of how we live, at least in America. We're very saturated with objects and marketing and things. And the idea was, what if we just hit reset for a moment and just kind of go back to the essence, go back to the beginning, and allow a new reinterpretation of how we live. And so this home is a direct result of a kind of frustration, a kind of cathartic exercise in wanting to live differently, I guess you can say. And then I'm putting this question to you, the visitor, and to see, hopefully question some aspects about your life. Do you live how you want to live? And that's really the idea behind the project. The idea really behind the house and how it connects culturally for me is, if you buy a house or an apartment that, let's say, is 50 years old, 100 years old, it's built for another context. It's not built for your life. And not life today, not contemporary culture. So when I consider that, we tend to live in a structure, in the envelope of another need. So therefore, we might have a dining room that we don't want to have as a dining room. We might have a library or some other things that we might not want, based on what do we really need today. I think we need a room for silence, or a room for creation, or a room for even destruction. I don't know. The ideas are, it must be about what is it that we want individually, and then have an environment which facilitates that, and not be attached to the architecture, if you follow me. So this house is really the exploration in what if the architecture didn't exist, what do we really care about, what's the most essential, and then allow the architecture to reveal itself based on that thinking. It's all the experience, and back to the hand, back to the tactile experience, which for me is lost in life today. We have modern building which is void of really emotion, and then you have synthetic solutions that's applied on top, and so for us it's to go back to the essence, back to the true meaning. So materiality does this. The facade, for example, is actually a fabric. I know it's a concept, but the idea is the home is in some ways an organism. It's a skin. It's meant to breathe. Air passes through the walls. Light passes through. And I think this, for me, is just another way to look at it. Why should we cut ourselves off from the outside? We should allow an exchange with the outside. So that was the thinking of having the textiles. And then, of course, you enter different type of material in some ways. Is when you enter this resting space, you discover a moon. And we put this enormous moon we've had built inside, and it's there to provide the only light, the only artificial light, we'll call it, in the space. Just as though outside there's only the sun and only the moon. There's something quite beautiful about this, and so we brought that inside of the architecture, and to have this giant natural experience within the structure of the walls. And so we're surrounded by many things in our life, of course, and these objects are meant to not be decorative. They're meant to be informational, and but specifically, just as we eat food for our body, we need some food for our mind, right, and food for our spirit. So the things on the shelves around you are selected for that purpose. The way to learn about what something is to go see it and to go experience it. So actually around here we have million-year-old stones, 1,000-year-old trees, we have actual birds, we have the smell of scotch, we have all sorts of things which are actually meaningful to me, let's say, that I would love to share those nuances with my family. And so the idea of let's say exploring these things, like taking the bird and looking at, you wish it was alive or you can hear it and understand it, that's another story. But the idea of having the actual animals to explore, to interpret his own opinion, it's as if I said, imagine me giving you a book about food. It'd be a really boring book because you'd want to try the food. And I think, but we somehow accept pictures of animals as educational, which to me is completely false because it's not real. So what we're trying to do is go back to, again, the essence, go back to exploring things and forming your own opinion of an education and understanding, and just as you would with food, but also with physical objects. So that's really important for me. What makes the space comfortable for me is one that's authentic, one that's true, and I think that's very difficult to do, specifically unless you're building the space yourself. And I think this is a luxury we have with this project. But I think more importantly, it needs to be comfortable in a way that it's built for your life and not someone else's life, and actually tuned for you.